Paul Ormerod, Why Most Things Fail, Evolution, Extinction and Economics. Dive into the fascinating world of Why Most Things Fail, Evolution, Extinction and Economics by Paul Ormerod, which explores the phenomenon of failure in biological, social, and economic systems. This book will challenge your understanding of conventional economics, revealing the static nature of the equilibrium and the fallacy of treating failure as an exception. Learn about the impact of government policies, the randomness of economic systems, and the intriguing parallels between evolution and economics. Gain insights from real-life examples of failed businesses, social inequality, and the limits of conventional economic theories.
The truth about business failure. Most businesses fail, but why does conventional economics ignore this fundamental fact? This book challenges the traditional approach to managing a business by highlighting the importance of recognizing failure as a constant factor in business, social, and economic systems. Economist Alfred Marshall recognized early in his career that massive corporations do not last forever, and he was right. Most of the 1910s big companies no longer exist. However, contemporary economists still depend on equilibrium, not accounting for the ever-changing social and economic systems. The book argues that relying on demand, cost, pricing, and competitive response does not sufficiently account for the complexities of businesses. The failure is not unique to business, but also exists in many dimensions, including the government policies that aim to reduce social inequality. The book explores the root causes of failure and challenges readers to rethink their approach to managing their businesses in the face of a constantly changing environment. The illusion of big causes. Economic systems are complex, and the phenomenon of GDP is the result of countless small decisions that are impossible to predict. People tend to believe that big effects must result from big causes, but this is not true. Friedrich Engels noted the sharp class segregation in Manchester as early as 1844. Even after 150 years of social reform, the situation remained nearly unchanged. In the US, segregation is more based on race than class. However, even a mild preference for living with one's own kind can lead to a highly segregated neighborhood. People don't have to intensely dislike someone or have a strong desire to live with people of the same race or class to create segregation. A small preference can result in an outcome that resembles the result of massive racial or class-based hostility. Economic systems often follow this pattern where small decisions have massive impacts, and the illusion of big causes blurs the true nature of the outcome. Understanding this phenomenon is crucial to creating systemic social reform. The uncertainty of economics and the insights of game theory and evolutionary biology. The field of economics has tried to ignore uncertainty, but game theory has shed light on the unpredictable nature of market life. However, game theory has its limitations in real-world applications, as people don't always act rationally. Surprises and accidents happen even in games that have been played for thousands of years, such as chess. Businesses and government policies operate in an environment that is difficult to analyze and understand. The uncertain, unexpected, incomplete, or unclear rarely allow for reasonable, well-informed economic models. Evolutionary biology offers insights into the phenomenon of failure, insights that may prove instructive for business management and government policy. Power laws and extinction events. The relationships among species and the economy are so complex that a small change can have a massive impact throughout the system. Power laws cause extinction events of varying sizes, and failures seem to be built into the system. Evolution is random, and the survival of a species is relative to a particular moment. The same principles apply in the economy, where firms can become extinct without a significant external shock. Companies can make good decisions and still fail due to power laws and complex relationships among numerous factors. The illusion of government regulation. The book argues that government regulations based on conventional economic theory and the notion of setting rules and penalties are misconceived. It suggests that economics is a random phenomenon that can't be governed and the regulator's intervention may reduce the system's overall health. The book states that even a seemingly impregnable monopoly is vulnerable, as the history of evolution and economics shows that remarkably successful enterprises are often short-lived. Thus, hobbling a giant to encourage the growth of gnomes might not be very wise. The USSR's failed experiment in central planning demonstrated that the state should intervene as little as possible in economic life, since reality is too complicated for societal regulations. The book proposes that governments should encourage innovation and experimentation by stepping back, since regulatory experiments promoting social mobility and reducing social inequality have largely failed. The book argues that the government's dependence on a level of understanding that is almost completely illusory does not sustain the economic system, since economics is not governed and is random in nature.
In conclusion, Why Most Things Fail reveals the pervasive existence of failure in biological, social, and economic systems. It highlights the limitations of traditional economic theories and their simplistic approaches. Failure is an intrinsic part of economics and is often caused by the complex, unpredictable nature of relationships in any given system. By drawing connections between economics and evolutionary biology, the book highlights the random, adaptable nature of life and the need to accept and adapt to failure. The need for experimentation and innovation in businesses and government policies is emphasized, urging us to reconsider and embrace the uncertainty of the world we live in.